here in Gotham.
It really feels like Bane is making a serious comeback in the world of DC because he's once again stepping into the spotlight in a big way. Recently, he returned to the pages of DC Comics through Absolute Batman number 9, a story crafted by Scott Snyder, and fans have been buzzing about it. The response has been strong, which makes sense since Bane has always been one of Batman's most fascinating adversaries. He isn't just a brute force, he's a character with strategy, strength, and an iconic place in the mythology. Because of that, it didn't take long for rumors to start swirling about his possible future in James Gunn's rebooted DC Universe. Now, James Gunn is someone who has had a hand in practically every big DC project these days, since he's the co-CEO of DC Studios and overseeing the rollout of the new DCU. So whenever whispers surface about characters being rebooted or possibly getting their own spin-off stories, Gunn's name comes up immediately. The latest rumor? That we could actually get a fresh origin story for Bane, possibly even a full movie focusing on him. That's a bold idea, because traditionally Batman's villains haven't had their own solo projects, aside from someone like Joker, but the DCU's reboot is clearly opening the door for new experiments. Adding fuel to that fire is the speculation of Dave Bautista possibly being tapped to play Bane. The reason his name comes up so often is because Gunn and Bautista already have a long history of working together. After all, Bautista played Drax the Destroyer in Marvel's Guardians of the Galaxy trilogy, which Gunn directed. That collaboration turned Bautista into a household name for superhero fans, and it also built a strong professional bond between the two. So, when fans heard that Bane could be making a return to the DCU, they immediately began to connect the dots, thinking Bautista might be the perfect choice. On top of that, there have been reports floating around about a potential Bane Deathstroke movie, which some fans think could tie into the Brave and the Bold. That's the Batman-focused project Gunn already confirmed, which will introduce Damian Wayne, Bruce's son, into the new cinematic universe. Because both Bane and Deathstroke have strong ties to the League of Assassins in various comic arcs, it's not too much of a stretch to think they could show up in a story tied to Damian. And since Gunn is known for surprising the audience by mixing deep comic lore with fresh interpretations, that rumor doesn't feel impossible. Of course, Gunn was recently asked about all this during an interview on the Happy, Sad, Confused podcast. Host Josh Horowitz directly asked him about Bautista possibly playing Bane, as well as whether there's anything he could reveal about the supposed Deathstroke Bane movie. Gunn, however, stayed coy on the subject. He didn't confirm anything about the movie itself, and when it comes to Bautista, he admitted that while Bautista once had an interest in playing Bane, he's not sure that's true anymore. Gunn even said, "I don't know if Dave wants to be Bane anymore. He used to want to be Bane. I think he would much rather be another character right now." That's not a flat-out rejection of the idea, but it does suggest that things may have shifted since Bautista openly campaigned for the role a few years back. Now, this makes sense when you look at Bautista's recent interviews. The actor himself has been open about the challenges of playing such a physically demanding character. He's 55 now, and although he's in excellent shape, he has admitted that roles requiring extreme physicality are getting harder to pull off convincingly. In a 2024 interview with Screen Rant, Bautista even said, "I just felt like I was too old to play Bane. I think the physicality of it, at this point in my career, I just wouldn't be able to do the character justice." That's a very honest and realistic take, because Bane isn't a role where you can cut corners. He's supposed to be massive, terrifying, and still carry the intensity of someone who can go toe-to-toe with Batman. Even though Bautista may not end up playing Bane, Gunn has emphasized that he definitely wants to collaborate with him again in the DCU. And that's an exciting prospect, because the DCU catalog of characters is enormous. Bane is just one villain out of hundreds of heroes and villains Gunn can use. Bautista could easily bring another character to life, perhaps someone less obvious, where fans don't immediately expect it. Bautista himself has said he wants to push beyond typecasting and show his range, which suggests he might be aiming for a role that highlights his acting chops more than just his muscles. Still, it's worth talking about how Bautista as Bane would have worked, because the fit feels natural. He's got the size, the presence, and the ability to play characters who are intimidating but also layered. If Gunn really wanted to take a bold step, The Brave and the Bold would be the perfect place to introduce him. Since that story revolves around Batman balancing his duties as a father to Damian Wayne, it makes sense for the League of Assassins to have a heavy presence. Bane, who has sometimes been linked to that group, could naturally appear as part of the conflict, and with Deathstroke also in the mix, it would allow for a bunch of powerful villains to challenge Batman in a way we haven't really seen on screen. But before diving too far into what Gunn might do, it's important to look at Bane's current presence in the comics. As mentioned earlier, Absolute Batman number 9 gave us a redesigned version of him, illustrated by Nick Dragotta. This Bane pushes his size and grotesque qualities even further than before, while still keeping the classic mask and Venom tubes fans expect. The reaction has been mixed. Graham Nolan, one of Bane's original co-creators, took to social media to criticize the new design, calling it a terrible abomination. He also didn't hold back when asked about Tom Hardy's live-action portrayal in The Dark Knight Rises, labeling that version of Bane a fail. That criticism surprised a lot of fans because Hardy's Bane has often been praised for his psychological intensity and unique presence, even though his design was a departure from the Lucador-inspired original. When pressed further, Nolan admitted that he prefers versions like the ones from Batman the Animated Series, Young Justice, and the Arkham Asylum games. Those interpretations stayed closer to the comic roots, keeping the wrestler-like aesthetic and balancing intelligence with brute force. All of this shows how tricky it can be to adapt Bane, because people have such different ideas of what makes the character work. Some fans love the darker, grounded approach, while others want the over-the-top, Venom-pumped version from the comics. Gunn is aware of these divides, and if he chooses to bring Bane into the DCU, he'll have to find a way to strike that balance. That's where someone like Bautista could shine, because he's capable of delivering both physical intimidation and emotional depth. Even if he's no longer interested in playing Bane, the idea still lingers in fans' minds as something that would have been a bold and brave casting choice. When thinking about Bane's place in The Brave and the Bold, there's another angle worth considering. Some fans have theorized that the movie might blend elements from other storylines, including plots from the League of Assassins. That could bring in not only Bane and Deathstroke, but possibly even characters like Merlin, the Dark Archer. And if Merlin shows up, that might even open the door for Green Arrow to make an appearance, since in the comics he once intercepted an arrow from Merlin that was meant to kill Batman. While none of this is confirmed, it's the kind of interconnected storytelling Gunn enjoys, weaving smaller details from the comics into bigger cinematic arcs. At the end of the day, whether Bautista becomes Bane or takes on another role, the fact remains that fans want to see him in the DCU. Gunn and Bautista have a proven track record together, and their chemistry behind the scenes has always translated well on screen. If Gunn wants to take bold risks in shaping this new cinematic universe, giving Bautista a role, whether it's Bane or someone else, would be one of the smartest moves he could make. For now, all eyes are on The Brave and the Bold and the broader DCU reboot to see how those rumors shake out. Bane's resurgence in the comics proves the character still has cultural weight, and the ongoing debates about his design and portrayal only show how passionate fans are about him. It may not be confirmed yet, but if Bane does make the leap back to the big screen, the expectations will be sky high. And if Bautista ends up being part of that journey, it'll be remembered as one of the boldest casting decisions Gunn ever made. And that's that for today's video. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.